Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Fadi Alfaqawi. I'm a consultant eye surgeon, and I'm also the social media editor of BMJ Open Ophthalmology. Continuing our celebration of the 10th anniversary of BMJ Open Ophthalmology, today I'm thrilled to introduce one of the top 10 most cited papers in BMJ Open Ophthalmology, Digital Eye Strain, Prevalence, Measurement, and Amelioration by Dr. Amy Sheppard and Professor James Wolffsohn. We will hear from the authors about the study and their advice for eye care practitioners. Let's dive in.
What problem did your study address, and what are the key takeaways readers should remember?
At the time we undertook the work, around 2017 to 2018, digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome, it had been recognised for about 2 decades, and there'd been some patchy attention to it in the scientific literature, although device usage had been increasing significantly across all age groups at that point. We reviewed the available evidence on digital eye strain to evaluate its prevalence, the approaches to identifying those who may be affected, and also how the syndrome might be managed. The available evidence at the time was largely based on working age adults and showed that the syndrome was really very common, with prevalences typically in the region of 50% or more amongst device users. The management approaches included basic regular breaks from screens, refractive error correction, and management of ocular surface disorders. Given the high prevalence of the syndrome, it's important that treatment options are supported by good quality scientific evidence.
How has your work changed clinical practice, research directions, or thinking in this area since publication?
Shortly after the work was published, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic struck, which caused a really dramatic sudden shift in lifestyles. So amongst people of all age groups, much more time was being spent indoors using digital devices for schoolwork, professional work, social activities, and screen time really surged as a result. From around 2020 onwards, we began to see much more attention directed towards digital eye strain in the scientific literature. These studies were often involving estimates of the prevalence in different populations, and our work became important as a reference for authors in the field and has now received over 1,000 citations in the scientific literature, and it's still performing really strongly in this respect.
What unanswered questions remain, and what should researchers or clinicians focus on next?
So in terms of unanswered questions, like all research, it uncovers a whole load of things that we need to address, particularly in this case, how we define digital eye strains. So there are questionnaires that measure the symptoms, but actually they haven't been crafted in a way to give us a really robust way of identifying whether someone has symptoms because they're using a digital device or just because they happen to be working late at night on a piece of paper, for example. So it's really important that we get really good measures. Again, the research identified that there weren't any really strong, consistent signs that we see in patients who have digital eye strain. So a lot more research worked in that area. And of course, there's always more to do in terms of mitigations. So looking at other possible treatment strategies and how effective they could be in individuals.
Why did you choose to publish your work in BMJ Open Ophthalmology? And how was your experience with the peer review process?
In terms of choosing a journal, we were looking for one that had a good clinical readership and was respected, and particularly one that was open access. And BMJ Open Ophthalmology meets all of those criteria. The instructions of how to put the paper together were really clear, and the peer review process was thorough and slick, and actually made it then a better paper in terms of the publication that we got out. So we were very happy with our choice of journal.